Peace. So today, you know what I mean? Pardon me, we're a little bit late. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to get back on schedule. Got up a little bit early today, so that threw things off. But really, you know, today is interesting. I just spent like the last hour and a half or so checking out a a video that was on the Muslim guy's channel. So a couple of people.
This is the biggest AI artist.
A couple of people that that usually come over here. Let's get some in here. Judah TV. What's the science? But they not showing me no love no more on the alerts there. Alerts going out quite slowly. But yeah, I was just checking out a video on the Muslim guy's channel. Right? Felix Almanzar, Jai God, And so it was interesting because one of our brothers, Ramel, was on there today, right? And they was having a conversation about the title said the origin of the 5%, but it basically was about who is who is the 5%. You know what I'm saying? And so there was a brother on there, and he was presenting a perspective, right? That many of the Muslim guys was once 5%, right? And so he was saying that it's only natural that they consider and refer to themselves as a 5%. No, not Ramel Supreme. You know what I'm saying? So, Ramel, what I loved about Ramel, right, and the way he handled it, right, is that, he didn't, Christopher Gooden, welcome to the channel. He didn't relent. You know what I'm saying? Like there was definitely a push to try to get him to, kind of say that we're Muslim. Truth seeker. And Ramel wasn't taking no prisoners. So that's kind of what gave me the idea. I actually had a whole other video lined up that I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? But Sincere Asiatic. I had a whole other video lined up that I wanted to do, but then, I came to this one right here, right? Because and this is, people say what they want to say. Like if they want to be, whoever they want to be, power to them. Right? We're the real what I saw that might have led to a greater understanding within the conversation, right? King Math, I saw you on there. What I would have added on, right, if I was a part of that conversation, right, is that, you don't know things. You don't know things by how you imagine them to be. Like, you know things by characteristics. Like, we deal with supreme mathematics, right? That's the way that math works, right? So, when you're dealing with all of this knowledge, right? Whether you're dealing with the brothers in the moral science, whether you're dealing with the brothers in the NOI, look, even if you're dealing with the Hebrew Israelite brothers, a lot of different, you're going to see a lot of the same stories, right? You're going to hear about the same people, Musa, by different names, whatever the case may be, right? And so, to the naked eye, it may become difficult to discern, right, that there's distinctions there. And see, that's where math comes in at. See, because in math, right, let's say you have a right triangle, right? You got two right triangles. So in math, right, when you go to geometry class, that's a different kind of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that they show you. Is that when you got geometric shapes like that, right, you need three of those principles, right? Three principles in both objects to be the same in order to say these things are congruent, right? Angle, side angle, side, etc., etc. So see, you could have, right, these three lines right here, right? These three lines start out as right triangles, right? Both of them. But then, right, for whatever reason, because that's your free will to do so, you decide that you want to be 89.99999 degrees. Right? You want to be 90.00001 degrees. That's you're free to do that. You're free to do that. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. The only thing, right, is just the fact has to be pointed out that you're no longer a right angle. I mean, pardon me, you're no longer a right triangle. See, you're isosceles, right? Equilateral. Look, we all still triangles, right? We all still triangles. I understand your point. Yeah, we all still we brothers in Islam, right? But y'all are isosceles, and we right triangles. See, this is where this is. And look, like I said, look, I don't care what they do, because I'm doing what I do. But I'm just telling you that that's how you got to look at the traits and the characteristics. See, if a person could just say that at one time they was a 5%, so then that means forever, right? At one time you came around us, that means forever you were 5%. So people can walk out of the bodega right now with a ham sandwich. They could walk out with a ham sandwich and a Bible on their way to church, right? And still say they 5%. Like, see, these are the things, this is what I'm saying. This is how you know that these people really don't know nothing about us, right? And they're really, you know, they about faith. You see what I'm saying? Because see, if they was about works, right? See, that's the works of the 5%, right? That's the works of this knowledge, right? Is that it brings about a change. It brings about a change. Look, in the things that you see as civilized and righteous, even, right? It brings about a change. Do you think, if you're 5%, I'm saying, right? Do you think that a ham sandwich is a righteous meal now? The things that you're interested in, right? The books that you read, the conversations that you have, the company that you choose to keep, the clothes that you think is appropriate. See, all these things, the activities that you think is appropriate to partake in. See, these is traits and characteristics that you're going to know 5%, right? Because you're going to see a change in that. You see, if you don't, if you just dealing with the faith, right? See, then everything is by word and by prophecy. See, I don't really deal with that. Prophecy, all that. Look, the last time I checked, we not prophets. See, there's a difference between prediction and prophecy. So now, name me one prophecy that it's not 1,000 people. It's not 1,000 people. How many people were supposed to be Jesus coming back? See, that's different from I predict what I'm gonna do based on the knowledge and wisdom that I have. See, the thing about prophecy, it never has to be. It never has to be lived out. See, that's the thing. It doesn't matter to us. See, people think that 120 lessons, it don't matter if 120 lessons is true or not. The only thing that matters is if you can use Supreme Mathematics and Supreme Alphabet to draw up principles and lessons from that, right? That you would be able to, that would be timeless once you internalize it, right? Because that might have happened 1,000 years ago. See, those is the people. Let me tell you something. I don't know how many people here know their lessons, but those is the people in the knowledge degree in the 140. Will you set up home and wait for a mystery God to bring you food? That's what all that is. You're waiting. You're waiting for the prophecy to happen, and then what? We can't do nothing until then. We gotta just keep on slaving for massa now until the good ship Jesus come back to what? Tell me which one is the one you're talking about? So see, these are the things that you got to be. And look, be aware of this in your own self. See, if those things what I said, right, about it bringing about a change, if that didn't happen for you, bounce. Like it's cool, you can watch the live stream and all that. This is YouTube, right? This is not my, you know, don't tell Pinchar or whatever is the head people up there, the president of Google, right? But look, it's other channels. I ain't tell you leave the whole YouTube, but I'm just saying, stop saying you this. If this hasn't brought about no change, right? It don't necessarily have to be the changes what I said. It's best that you go and find, right? It's best that you go and find. It's best that you understand this for what it was. Something that freed your mind enough and put you in a position, right? Put you in a position where now you can find what you really, you know what I mean? You might have been trapped in some other type of way of life or some other type of mindset. Hold on for a second. Let me get in. I gotta bring my screen up, man, because y'all know I can't, I don't see like I used to. I can still see good, but it's just not like I used to. It's a strange thing because see when I have my eyes tested, they be like, yeah, it's good. But it's not the way I'm used to. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to the point, what I'm saying, right? Is that look for your own self, even before you. That's what I'm saying. Before you examine other people, right? Before you use this science, right? Before you use what I just said to examine other people, right? Examine your own self. Like if it's nothing that you used to love, right? And now you can't stand that. If it's something that you used to, if it's nothing that you used to not understand, then now yeah, this is what I need to do every day. This is what I need to have. See, if it's nothing like that, then you might as well go and find what's going to bring about the changes that you need. Now what happens? You get to first of all, you get into this time period that we're in. So you get to this time period where enough time has passed, right? Where individuals can distort the story. You get to this time period, right? Where even the firstborn, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of, well, of course, people that's coming around right now, they're not meeting the firstborn, right? And so this is what I'm saying, right? From my personal perspective, right? This is one of the things in terms of the Muslim guys, right? Is that you got a first-hand account, right? They bring up the Muslim brother who said he came to the rally, right? He came to the parliament. Okay, you got a first-hand account from that Muslim brother. right? And power to them. I don't know. I'm not saying, but look, I got a first-hand account from the guys. Like they was there too. And somehow this thing is getting distorted. Where it's like, the history as they want it to be, right, is that Allah gave the firstborn the lessons, and that's it. He gave him the firstborn, he gave him the lessons, that's it. No instructions, no nothing. He didn't born no understanding. And so now, right, based upon the misunderstanding, right, of the older brothers when they was younger, of course, right? And, in some cases, right, nefarious or malicious intent, right, that we never got the true teachings of Allah, which is supposed to be the teachings of, Elijah and Father. Listen, brothers, I could just tell y'all, sisters, whoever's on here, that is flat out not true. It's flat out not true. So in this day and time, look, everybody's going to have to be aware, right? That look, that's how good we did our duty. All right, got Darrin Bishop and the bar came in. Right? That's a part of how well we've done our duty, right? Is that look, is people out there, right, that they wanna be this, right? They wanna be this, but see, here's the thing. They only want the heaven part. See, people don't wanna go through the hell to get to that right? They just wanna get right to that. See, if it's what's today's degree? Oh God, y'all trying to control my mind, yo. Why is everybody's got to be like this? Listen, there's certain everything has characteristics, and identifying those characteristics, that's not us being aggressive. If you go to a Chinese restaurant and you look on the menu and you see pizza, would you be a little bit like, oh snap, that's wild? If you went to a Jewish delicatessen, right, and you saw escargot, would that be a little bit shocking to you? Like if you walked into if a Hebrew person, right, walked into a Hebrew establishment, right, and they had snails in there, and then the person said, "Oh, this place is not kosher," right? Would that be, is that wrong for the person to say that? See, only if you don't respect that kosher is a thing with specific characteristics. You said that the Chinese spot have Spanish people cooking. Well, if it's in New York, yeah, the Mexicans own the kitchens of New York. It don't matter. You right about that. No matter what restaurant you go to in America, I mean in New York right now, uh, if it's not family, if it's not a family, run restaurant where everybody in there is family, then yeah, then you're right about that. Every place is Mexican food in New York right now. Maybe that was a bad example. But look, this is what I'm saying, right? I bet you that, see, look, a Mexican could be fired for that. See, I hope this is turned into a racial show. This we not talking about. We just make it. We just talking about the topic. But I'm saying, let's say if it's Mexican, right? They work in all the various kitchens. So let's say before you was working in the Chinese restaurant, right? And then you started working in the Italian restaurant, right? Or let's say it's the other way, right? You was working in an Italian restaurant, and then you got a job in a Chinese restaurant, and then you was making the dish, right? You was making the pasta, and you put cheese in it. Asian people don't eat cheese. It got to do with them being lactose intolerant because they didn't domesticate cows over there. So the vast majority of them, they didn't develop, they population did basically if the children is gotta eat milk to get their nutrients and they can't digest it, they're not gonna do good. So the natural selection of those who can digest the lactose is gonna be more in the population. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, right, is that there's distinctions. Look, they both make pasta. You know, I'm sure that the Chinese would probably want me to point out now that the Italians did get it from the. they, so I don't know if the Chinese people want me to point that out, but let's point that out. Right? Yeah. If you go to an Italian restaurant, right, and they give you chopsticks, right, wouldn't you be a little bit like, whoa? Not like we getting up and leaving, but I didn't expect that. So see, when you start saying you Muslim, right? The black woman is God, all these things, look, whether you right or you wrong, right? Those are not the characteristics of 5%. The absolute black. Welcome to the channel. What is this? But yeah, I don't know if I should rant too long, what I'm saying on that because it's not it's like I said, man. you know, to me, it's one of those things where, you know, uh, like I said, do do people actually realize that? that in all walks of life, right? People supposed to have $1 billion. They want to wear our flag. People that look, you supposed to be blessed. Look, you saying that we don't know what we talking about, and far is a lot, right? So you getting the knowledge, from up high like that. You still want to wear our flag. You still want to sound like us. When you outside, you still want people to think you us. See, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, right? While they talking all they bullshit. See, while they telling you everything that the 5% is, right? That's negative, and everything that's positive that the 5% is not. Just remember, every walk, right, on both ends and everywhere in between, they want to be us. They want to they want to say what we say. See, what's the good old days? The good old days is always when the knowledge and wisdom of the gods was being manifested heavily. Right, operate as us, right, without our standard of operation and procedures. Without our standards, period. Without understanding, see, like, look, the degree said we agreed that there is no God but the Son of Man. You know, one of the things that I drew that up to me, right, is see, we don't agree on everything. We don't agree on everything. But see, there's some key things. There's some key things that listen, bro. We are grown men. But I gotta tell you, if you don't agree that knowledge comes before wisdom, you're not this. It's not me. Don't blame the messenger. I'm merely informing you, right, that there's some foundational principles here. That's the foundation, meaning like, look, you have a building, right? Let's say you got a building, 1200 First Street, right? Then you got another building right next to it, 1202 First Street. Okay, that building is not built on this same foundation right here. We don't share the same foundation. That's the knowledge coming before wisdom, right? Is the foundation that this is established upon. See, we got different people. Look, different people, you know, some people wear crowns, some people don't. Right? You know, uh, if you ask 10 5%ers what poor righteous teachers mean, right? You probably get at least 7 different answers. You know what I'm saying? Most, there's some basic things that we learn, right, to lead us to understanding these degrees, right? But everybody got to do their own research. But with all of those things, right? Everybody's independent. That being the case, right? Look, we don't eat pig. If you don't agree with that, right? You're not with us. And see, let me give you a major one, bro. Let me give you a major one. See, if you don't agree that the foundation of this is 1964, see, when you start talking crazy, the foundation of this is 1930, the foundation of this is 1913, the foundation of this is in Danville, Virginia, the foundation of this is in Detroit, Michigan, that's when you're talking crazy. That's when you're talking crazy. So, look, like I said, first and foremost, don't fool yourself. You know what I'm saying? Don't fool your own self. Don't be lying to yourself, telling you, thinking in your mind, right? Telling yourself that you this. Don't be doing that. And then after that, look, don't be going around lying to people saying you this. And see, for us, examine them. See, examine. You know why? Because see, all these people, these people become the weak links in our chain. See, when you got people, see, God, we're past faith. What's the deal, boy? See, we're past faith. We're past arguing. Yes, I mean the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin. We not doing that. We're not religious debating. We're not trying to figure out if it's three gods or the Trinity is one. We're not trying to figure that out. We not like how Professor Liang was saying. We're not still trying to figure out if Jesus is human down here and holy up there. We're not trying to figure out if he's half and half. We getting down to the action. So see, when you come in tune with those people, stay away from them. They not us. They not us. The people who still especially. I mean, listen, bro. How long you need to experiment? How long you need to experiment? Like I understand, they sending men experiments with high explosives, right? You going through these different sciences. That's high explosives. I understand that, but how long you need to experiment before you come to a conclusion? See, that's never going to happen if what you're dealing with is faith and prophecy. So everything is about you sitting up and waiting. See, meaning, look, if something happens to anybody, right? If something happens to me, motherfucker's supposed to know what to do. You're not supposed to be sitting out and waiting, and we're gonna wait for the sign that another motherfucker came that he's the reincarnation of Darkim. Yeah, bro. that, that's not how this goes. See, that's what other people is doing. They sitting out waiting for the sign, right? See, like I said, that's what happens. See, that's why now's the time to stop, because see, that's what happens, right? Is that now it end up being strays, right? Where now I'm talking about other things that ain't got nothing to do, right, with the conversation that really, sparked my attention to do this live. He says, "Hey, listen, that's a good question right there, DeBar. I don't know. Look, maybe that's what it is. But see, I already told you, my point of view is, look, even if all that stuff is true, right? If you got some prophecy that's supposed to happen, right? If you got some prophecy that's supposed to happen in 1,000 years, right? This is what I'm saying. The body can't go past 6. In 1,000 years, when Jesus comes to do all the jubilee and everything, being I ain't gonna be here, I might as well handle my handle right now. That doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if I tell somebody, look, I got 10 minutes to save my life, and they say I'll be there in 11 minutes. It's time to make adjustments. What's the science there, boy? Let's get to some good news. Let's get to some good news, man, because that's another thing right there. Too much bad news sometimes. You know what I mean? What's going on with the because somebody was asking me, a couple of people actually was talking about the conference. Let me plug my charger in here. Yeah, a couple of people, you know what I'm saying, I ended up having a couple of conversations about the conference. And what was accomplished, you know what I'm saying, and just a lot of people, right? You said the production will be out soon. What's the production? Oh, the video of the conference. Yeah. Now, I mean, the video and all that's good, but for me, it was more. I've been telling people in terms of the idea. You know what I mean? And in terms of, uh, you know, that's how, governmental bodies, right? It started from meetings. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember we used to hear about the Revolutionary War and how they used to have all these meetings in the bars, in the pubs and stuff. You said Region 2 is working closely together. All right, so two things, right? when you say region two is working closely together with each other, or they working closely together with somebody else, and where is region two? I've never, because originally, I didn't, when I first heard of the ideas of the regions, the only thing I was thinking is that, this sounds like separation. Still there? But at any rate, that idea needs to be so together with each other. So C Truth, Black Medina. So Connecticut, Black Medina is Boston. Okay, Mega Mass is Mecca is what, Springfield, and Rule Islam. That's what they call Rhode Island. What they and what they working on. Cause that be the thing. It'd be a lot of meetings without me. I don't know. It's that makes me a little bit nervous. just what just for just inquiring minds. Strengthen communications. All right. But yeah, it's a lot of people up there, a lot of even the small towns out there that got a lot of brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that's one of the things uh, that you know, in my opinion, right? That's one of the things that happened. You know what I'm saying? It was like, uh, if it was like one day we was all together, right? There's no regions. You know what I'm saying? But then all of a sudden, it's like once it became regions, you start hearing conversations that you never heard before because there was no line there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, uh, let's say, for the so-called Native Americans, whatever, what I'm saying? It's like, one day you say, I can't, I'm in another state now. What do you mean I'm in another state? You know what I'm saying? Who are you talking about? Like there never was a separation there before, so we never had that conversation. You know what I'm saying? But now you just some of the stuff is And how many did they, because somebody said they did, how many regions is it now? So it's 11 regions. Said the son said the region is to work more collectively in a smaller landmass and build out to the others. I mean, see, I hear what you're saying, right? Uh, it's still, like when in the army, right? You know what I'm saying? You got a general, right? Then he's responsible for everything, right? And then it breaks down after that. This person over here, they responsible for 10,000 people, right? This person over here, they responsible for another 10,000 people, right? But now under those people, that 10,000, you got four people, right? And each one of those people is responsible for 2,500 people. You know what I'm saying? And then under them, they got five people that's each responsible for 500 people. You know what I'm saying? All the way until you get down to somebody that got three or five people that, you know what I'm saying, he's responsible for. You see? So that's what I'm saying with the regions, right? Is that from that grassroots level, right? There's no federation, right, to where in this region, see, like you're saying with the communication, right, where this region can even say, well, look, we need some help with this thing right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need something in this region, right, that's free. It's free in that region over there. It's a bottom up process. You said who decides what a region is? Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. None of this was none of that was evident. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's not no method to it, right? But I'm not aware of it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, in principle, it's one, it's the way it always was, right? Meaning, uh, you know, I live in a neighborhood, right? I go to a school. You know what I'm saying? And in every one of those ciphers, right? Uh, how can we get the real peace sign on YouTube? Yeah, you probably they got ways that you can put your own stuff in there. I probably gotta check that out. But I go to this school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I live in this neighborhood, so that's the science that we teach is that there's always a best note, right? You know what I'm saying for the various. So, uh, you know, to in practice, right? Those people, or what I'm saying, if something happened over there were certain people that would get contacted. Yo, what's up with that? You know what I'm saying? Or even if you going into an area where it's like, yeah, I'm going down there to do something else, but while I'm down there, I'm gonna highlight the guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, certain people that what I'm saying. Certain people that you know what I'm saying, and then like I said, we the brothers. Like I'm going back now, saying that when I'm in high school, yeah, the brothers that's in the school, you know what I'm saying, uh, to some degree, I know more than these people. You know what I'm saying? So to a certain degree, I'm responsible up there. You understand what I'm saying? Uh, but then, like I said, you got older brothers that's in the neighborhood, right? That if I start talking crazy, they gonna like, yo, what's up with the young guy? Why is he what is this that we hearing that he's saying? So, it always was that way, you know what I'm saying, all the way until the rally. You know what I'm saying? But without that, there's see the dangerous part of that is uh when things start multiplying over here, right? Without exposure to the foundation. See, even when you say dealing with this knowledge, right? And you see how it's lots of principles, right? That once you have the knowledge for a while, you find out that these are principles that Allah taught, right? And one of the reasons why you may not have heard them, depending upon who you was around when you got the knowledge, right, is that, like I said, when you get the knowledge as a child, you don't understand all of the lessons that Allah is trying to teach, because some of them is grown man lessons, right? So you don't fully understand that, right? And so if you don't fully understand something, it's going to be hard for you to teach that. And so what happens is, you know, if you come out, let's say you an individual, right, and you give the knowledge to, one young brother, right, and then he gives it to two young brothers, right, and then between all of them, they give it to five more brothers. See, now those young brothers is multiplying without exposure to the older brother that can really guide them in all the right things to do with that. You understand what I'm saying? Without that, now they got a whole bunch of power, right? And they might abuse it, right? If they don't know what to do. So, uh, uh, that's the danger to me, right? If the regions don't have, a constitution, you know what I'm saying? Once you take it to that level, right? You got the 50 states, to a certain degree is 50 separate, those is 50 separate things. You know what I'm saying? But you got the Constitution that binds all of them together. Yeah, that's what the live started off right there, in terms of uh, being rooted in what we teach, right? And just see, because to me it's just it's a language thing. I don't want to say that it's playing games, but it is a language thing in terms of uh, you know, how what I describe, right, as unity, right, and being one mind, right, is described by others as uh, control. Like we've reached a point where, somebody could be eating a ham sandwich, right? And if I say, look, God, that's not right and exact, you know, he's gonna say, "Yeah, God, but that's my understanding, God. That's how I'm drawing up the lessons, God. Poison animal. That means alligators." This is, to me, that's the point that we've reached. I mean, look, a lot. I see what you saying, God, but look, that's some of the stuff that people be saying, and some of the stuff that people be doing. That's my point. Is that it's not rooted. It's not rooted. It's like, see, look, this is how I tell people, right? Even twins look a little bit different. See, I can understand that. That look, everybody, right, is got to draw things up for themselves. But see, if we come from the same knowledge and wisdom, we got the same mother and father, we might not look exactly the same, but we're going to look similar. See, we're going to be able to go back into our roots, right? And say, okay, well, look, maybe you look a little bit more like our mother's side. You know what I'm saying? And you look a little bit more like our father's side. You know what I mean? Or you're tall like our grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Or, we had a great grandfather that had a complexion like yours. But we're going to be able to go back into our roots, right? And see that we come from the same. But see, it's starting to be people where it's like, yeah, nah, this person right here, like, look, where how that joke, you go to somebody's house and then you got one that they adopted. They don't look like nobody in there. See, this is another thing that happens in the world, right? Where, like I said, the 5% is put into a vacuum, right? Where if we say that there's a standard, right? There's a standard of who and what is a 5%, right? And we determine that standard, right? And we determine when one does not meet that standard. Now, seeing everything else, you could do that. They see if you're a basketball team, you're allowed to determine what talent level of people you put on the team. The team is allowed to say, okay, yeah, this person right here, they not on our level, G. We want this person on the team. See, any other thing, the Boy Scouts, like I said, a person got to be qualified or disqualified to make the devil. The person had to be qualified to collect garbage. In New York, they got a test for that. You got to be qualified to collect garbage. How can you not have to be qualified to be the true and living? This is not biological. See, biology you can't change, right? Meaning You can't fire your brother. If you and your brother don't get along, right? Y'all just never got along. You don't like this nigga, right? He did some shady shit with the inheritance and all that, right? But you can't fire him. But see, when we talk about other things, that's the listen. Anybody can be fired. And see, here's a question, and this is a real question. This is a real question. I want a real answer. Is something even worth it to be a part of if you don't have to be qualified? Think about that for a second. What do you want to be a part of, right? That there's no qualification whatsoever. It don't matter. Listen, a person can walk in here, take a shit in the middle of the floor. See, that's how your physical is. That's how your biological brother, he can do that, and then he's still your brother. There's nothing you can do about that. See, if you're supposed to be a 5%, see, first, we're going to clean the floor up with you, and then you get the fuck out of here. Exactly. What's the point of being a part of it, G? If there's nothing in this, guy, if there's no part of this, right, that you preserving for yourself, then what is it? What are you doing with it? Yeah, see, Shaka, Shaka, uh, uh, Shaka Dulu, see, he work with that electrician stuff. You see, unqualified people, yeah, you don't want to be around people that's unqualified, man. Now, there's some things that to be qualified for, right? All you gotta do is be breathing. If we talking about, look, we breathe in the air right here, right? Everybody's qualified to do that. Now, because we live in a capitalist society, now they done put other qualifications. You need money for certain things, right? Like, see, we supposed to be able to just pick an orange off the tree and eat it. But see, because of property rights, right? You can't do that no more. You're not qualified because that person don't know you. You got to be qualified by that person to come on their property. Yeah. See, now look, this is. See, I'm glad you brought this up, Shaka. You said a 5-year apprentice just passed away. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess everybody's not qualified, right? And some tragic accident happened. See, that's where his home at. See, this is a YouTube video where I'm talking. That's where his home at, where life is on the line. See, that's why I say that's the difference, right? Between, you know, prophecy and prediction. See, that's the difference between the faith and the work. See, when we go out there, see, everything is on the line right now. See, whether we have knowledge, wisdom, or understanding, whether we have freedom, justice, and equality, whether we have food, clothing, and shelter, whether we have love, peace, and happiness, that's on the line right now. That's what we're dealing with. See, it's not about the prophecy where, well, let's just look that way until, whoever's comes back, whoever's supposed to be coming back, right? Whoever's supposed to be coming back comes back. Look, anybody that's ever been left, you already know that's not how it works. You don't get left if the person comes. Said they do not come around to qualify when they do not qualify their own self. You see, that's the thing about the world now. See, when we got the knowledge, you have to come to the hill. See, just like I said, look, all them levels, right, that I said, like, look, you got the brothers that's in the school, you got the older brothers that's in the neighborhood, you go to the rally, you got brothers in other neighborhoods. Those is all various hot seats. When we was getting those are all various hot seats. So look, I might see somebody in math class, right? They like, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? I seen you, you know what I'm saying, in the building on that stuff, man. Look like you know what you're talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? Can you teach me that stuff? All right, now look, I might start building with you, whatever. It might be a couple days, right? But see, eventually, yo, look, at the school, you gotta come to the cipher. You gotta come and look when we get there, right? You on your own. When we get there, you know what I'm saying? All this right here we be working on, that's what, you know what I mean? Look, the first time, the first time I bring you, look, stand right here. Stand right here by me. Right? What you see me do? Right? Then you do that. Right? The other brothers, you know what I'm saying? All the brothers, look, greet the guys. This is the family right here. Greet the guys. You know what I'm saying? But see now, yeah, you have these compartments where somebody can be 5% extraordinaire and don't know other 5%ers know them. It's not just us. Look at how much fraud shit then came out. You see the nigga, who's the dude that did doing the cryptocurrency? See, on the internet, he made himself look like this, marvelously genius, investor. But in real life, that's not what was happening. In real life, you losing these people money. And so now that's what's happening because now everybody's, your avatar. You your avatar. So, whatever you put in the avatar, right? That's what people think. If you put the universal flag in your avatar, you must be a 5%. That's the criteria now. And have you noticed, Born? Have you noticed how many people, right? It be people that be talking about these extensive histories, God. They be talking about extensive histories, being around the firstborns, you know what I'm saying? and they used to build with this person and that person. I ain't never seen them around that person. Mind you, they both grown men. I don't follow them around, not in their back pocket. But even when I hear you talking, you know, I hear people talking. They told me they was around Dumont. What Dumont? What Dumont? People talking. Yo, they was around Prince. What Prince? Because the things I hear you saying, right? There's no way you was around Prince. Not saying that. See, that's the type of bullshit that happens. Who they teaching? You know who they teaching? To a certain degree, right? And I know this is gonna sound a little bit fucked up, but look, God get his man, the devil get his man. You know what I'm saying? So whoever falls for that, right? We needed you to be over there. We needed you to be over there, right? While we handle what we gotta handle. Like those people, they like dryer sheets. They get out the static cling and all that. See, those people who's really, you know, their mindset is such that they're susceptible to going back to faith, right? God, we gotta let them go. See, that's what we fucking up. When we trying to convince this religious person that they not religious. That's the look. That's one of the key differences. That's what I'm telling you, right? Is that we don't have a person that we waiting to come back. We don't have a person that we waiting to be born. You know, like somebody's going to be born in the this tribe of the this generation, and no, we not waiting for none of that. Yeah, we got a nice the group of young now we got is growing right now. You know, I gotta go handle. I actually need a solution. I don't know if anybody got a solution out there. These kids got like 35 bikes in the goddamn yard now. You know, they cool, but look, you got this shit all over here looking like junk now. So, you know, as I told them, I was gonna make it, I didn't end up making it, but I gotta designate them a space where they can keep their bikes, keep that in one section, keep that over there neat, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what they park their bikes in the yard. You know what I'm saying? And then that's their meetup place. You know what I'm saying? But see, that be the thing. What I be saying, you know, that's what I don't like. People be wanting to come and disturb me while I'm doing what I'm doing. If we teaching in boxing class, you want to come in, yo, guys, show them this. God, get the fuck out of here. If you want to show them something, show them on your time. You see, what happens is when these young people be around, right? See, people that know how to live out this culture is supposed to be coming around. See, people that have, you know, skills or whatever. Like I'm using it as an example. I know you in a whole other state on the other side of the country, but I'm just saying as an example, right? somebody like Shaka Lulu who do electrician, right? So look, we got Tay. Tay's in the 11th grade. You understand what I mean? People gotta come around and see what these young brothers and sisters might be into, what you might be able to help them. You might be able to help them skip some steps to get into that, the profession with you. See, that's a thing. A lot of people, they sound like, yo, God has peace, but nah, everybody got to pop out. This is the time. See, that's where, a lot of people come in and the stuff they have is like, yeah, God, no, we're not doing that. And we're not doing that on our day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta come and you gotta work with the people. That's just the way it is there. When I got the knowledge, right, I could be 30 miles from home. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm 30 miles from home, right? In the room, look, everybody here let that thing go off, son. Historically. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out here, you know what I'm saying? Look, getting the supreme knowledge, rolling with the gods. You know what I'm saying? And my parents, I'm not gonna say they wasn't concerned, but I know I take care of myself. They wasn't I made it back. But in this day and time, that's not really the case. You know what I'm saying? So, these people, parents, they sending them to us. They not sending them to us for me to let you do whatever plan you got. You got to come, meet the parents or whatever, meet the kids, tell them, look, I got this other thing over here. I'm going to be showing this. You know what I mean? So, if y'all want to come through, come through. You know what I'm saying? Those be the things, just the small things. Everybody talking about you trying to have these big debates with all these big words. You understand what I'm saying? With all kinds of people. You see what I mean? And that's the work, bro. That's where we came from. See, we was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And like I said, whether it was the older brothers in the neighborhood, whether it was the brothers at the school, whether it was, whatever, you know what I'm saying? People, took the time to ingrain in us all these sciences, right? From the supreme high science of who we are, all the way down to the city sciences. You see what I'm saying? But, people got the young now, like they in the glass case. You know what I'm saying? Like they in the glass case over there, and you being like the mystery guy. I don't know what you waiting on to say nothing to them. Right? I'm talking, I don't know what one is saying. I'm not speaking to no individual. Right? But that's what it is. Then you got the other people who you waiting till they gangster. Then you waiting till, look, he done did a whole bid now. He on his second bid. And now you like, yo, how can I get him? How can I get across to him now? Hey, what you talk? Hey, I'm already the big homie. Fuck you mean? Fuck you mean? The proper knowledge. I'm the big homie out here. You can't wait. You can't wait today. So I deal with the young. I got bouncy house. You know what I'm saying? The boxing that starts at 7 years old. But it goes up to 18, right? And then now that's the new thing that I want to do is because they have boxing teams at colleges. They're not as popular as the basketball teams and the football teams, but they have boxing teams. You know what I'm saying? Is you can get a scholarship for boxing. You see, that's another level, right? Where, like I said, okay, yeah, I got the bouncy house and all of that, right? You got the games, the video games, all of this stuff like that. But what happens when, like I said, Tay's in the 11th grade? See, now if we look at the blueprint, right? If we look at the blueprint, you know, when you got to that phase, then you had Harlem Prep. You know what I'm saying? And from Harlem Prep, many brothers went to uh, college. You know what I'm saying? You know, brothers came a long way. You know, Colleen came out of jail. He had got the knowledge, and then he got locked up as a juvenile. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, came out, ended up going to Harlem Prep, and then ended up going to City College, becoming a school teacher. You know what I'm saying? You know, the way I recall him telling me, Umar didn't know how to read that good when he first got the knowledge. Like, it wasn't that he couldn't read, but he wasn't, you know, and you know, he ended up going to Harlem Prep and then going to Berkeley. You know what I'm saying? You know, Alim said that his mom's was shocked. Like, he said when he first came and told his mom, yeah, I'm going back to school, his mom's like, yeah, right. So he graduated. And then he went to uh, University of Massachusetts. You know what I'm saying? So this region two that the guy came in talking a while ago, you know, uh, Mecca, Mecca Mass and Black Medina and all of that, you know, he got a part to do with the knowledge getting up there because of that science. You know what I mean? So just saying that, see, a lot of times people do, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, is what I'm saying. Right? It's that's the level that now I have to step my game to that level, right? Where uh, you know, I can help them get into college and stuff like that. Or, you know, whatever is the next level. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, college is not what it was back then, but whatever, if it's a trade or whatever it may be, um, that's one of the areas. Uh, that's one of the areas we got to get back on point. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, that already existed. See, a lot of things people be saying, yo, why the guys on this and why the guys on, and why that ain't happening. Now that happened. But see, like I said, at this point in time, you know, yeah, people come around and participate, you know what I'm saying? Like, they come to the street sign, you know what I'm saying? You know, they come to the show and prove and eat up all the food. Right? You know, whenever there's food, we got good participation. But see, like I said, who's ready to go through the hell to come out right? See, a lot of people want to come here and just be the heaven part. You know what I'm saying? You come in, you get your magic carpet, so you know you can float around. You ain't got the, you know what I'm saying? You know, you get a little pouch with lightning bolts and shit. You know what I'm saying? So you smite motherfuckers, you know, and you get a record contract. that's, that's see, that's for some people. That's it. That's what you was looking for, right? In the knowledge. You wasn't looking for that part of, all right, got all these wow. Let's not say wow, but we have these kids. Like they come out the projects. Certain levels of civilization, especially when it comes to carrying it for themselves. Meaning that they around their parents, they know certain things not to do. You know what I'm saying? But as you grow into a man, you realize that this is not stuff that you're doing, for the benefit of these other people, right? This is stuff that you're doing because of the principle of it. You see, all of these is the other things that, uh, we have to be into. Those is the things, like I said, a lot of people, they reduce it down to just the lessons. You know what I'm saying? And for some people, that might have been the case. But see, when walking and talking with brothers, you know what I'm saying, and you know them. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all know each other's trials and triumphs. They know. All right, you going through this cipher over there. All right, yeah, I went through that cipher back in 1974. So look, this is how you handle that. That's how it was when I was when I was getting knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't, just quotation. See, even a lot of that, how many people you see, right? They don't know their lessons and they sharp otherwise. See, that's what all that was a part of staying sharp. Yeah, we know the lessons. We're not living them out. Yeah, we don't worship the lessons. We don't believe in the lessons and none of that. But we have to remain sharp, right? Because we gotta think for ourselves. Jesus ain't taking the wheel over here. What's that new one? They didn't have that when I was in the Christian world. They got something uh like sit back and let God or something. I can't I don't know. It's been a while since I've been involved. It's been a while since I've been involved with Christianity. But I hear them, like they got another one where they say, look at God. I don't recall those being right. Let go and let God. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's that's what I'm saying. I, I was I left before that came out. You said that's when they have dendrite pruning. Dendrite, isn't that is that a kind of brain cell? What is dendrite again? Using all these $10 words in here. Bernadette Bernie, welcome to the channel. I saw you in here a minute ago, but sometimes I'll be busy talking. So Bernadette Bernie, welcome to the channel, says, what is the highest purpose of your teachings that will make people want to learn and live your culture? Well, I think pretty much I might have passed some of it. The highest purpose of our teachings is to uh, show you that the power is in you, that the power to create or destroy whatever heaven and hell right here on the planet is in you. Yeah, Jesus is my co-pilot. I see that one. I see that one too on cars. King Divine Master Allah. See, that's what. That's it. See, this is one of the words. See, look, this. I'm gonna change everything I just said. I'm gonna change everything I just said to what Arabi said right here. It's self-preservation from your own faculties. See, look, that right there. Look, that right there. See, that goes along because y'all know I'm changing. This is my last year. After this, I'm not 5% no more. I'm down with the Mohammedan reality. I told y'all that a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, that I'm dealing with the Mohammedan reality. Whoa, people say that? People say people say I'm covered in his blood. God damn, it looks like I left Christianity just in time. That's God damn. That's need some morality or something with that. So we say here the term dendrite is the connection point of the axiom. I mean, I'm pretty sure that got to do with brain cells, the way I recall it. The pruning is the cutting away in the brain. The grafting is the combining of the cutoff. Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, I see. Imagine. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They carry. Yeah. That was a bugged out movie too. I never really fully understood what that movie was about. Yeah, but that's interesting right here when you say pruning is the cutting away. And it's interesting because look, I don't know how long you've been in this channel, right? But a lot of times, right? If you've been in here a while, then you've heard me say before that the first step of grafting is separating. See, in any situation, once it becomes us and them, see, once we've already categorized, like, see, look, in the black man's body, right? One body, there's a black germ and a brown germ. See, once that was separated, even in the mind, to say, okay, these is two different things to be manipulated in two different ways. That was the first step already, right there. That was already so. That was made. Alamel, yeah, you've been around a minute. What's going on? You know something? I didn't know that was you. Oh, we got the chat room king is in the building. So, like these is our normal. These is our. This is gonna sound funny, but see, these is our normal. These is our normal people that we know how to work with them. These are not the people like when we had a vertical screen. Then we get the people that we don't know how to work with them. There was somebody in the comment section of the like one of these last two videos, man, where I just, I had to give him the address to Bellevue. I'm dead ass. Like, bro, look, you can just go in there. You don't need an appointment. Because see, that's necessary. That's necessary. See, people are not taking into account that all of these steps, right? All of these steps, even when we say, look, that's a part of that. They see that to have arm, leg, arm, head, that's already blessed. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, to have arm, leg, arm, head, that's already blessed. Look, to be sane, right, is already blessed. You know what I'm saying? But even in terms of, look, everybody got arm, leg, arm, head, right? You have to learn how to use all of that to the fullest of its potential. They see some people got a head on their shoulders, right? They don't know what it's for. They have no idea that lump on the top of their shoulders is for thinking. I don't know if you know anybody like that. I know a lot. They have no idea that that's what that's for. See, it just in the basic sense, if you think the mystery God is going to do all this, then you have no idea what arm, leg, arm, head is for. You have no idea. How do you see the word bless? Do you associate it with spookism, or is it practical state or being a circumstance? So yeah, that's one of those words, right? That is because of the way it's been used, it does have uh, it does have uh, uh, kind of religious connotations. You know what I'm saying? Um, the way I'm using it, right, is the way I'm using it is to say you was born alive. You know what I'm saying? When we look at uh, all of the various obstacles, right, that we had to come through just to be here. You know what I'm saying? Uh, to say is definitely not me saying that there is some outside entity that's granting good fortune to whatever is the endeavor. You know what I'm saying? But, anytime you see a situation, right, where, you started out like all the other people, right? And, you seen that look. Some people didn't come out so good, and some people came out good, right? That's blessed. Now look, you could be people are responsible, right, for their own blessings, and they responsible for fucking up blessings. You know what I'm saying? You know, you might be in a situation where somebody just comes up and gives you something for free. Like, oh snap, man. And look, it might be at a time, you know what I'm saying, when you like, oh snap. Or look, I give you an example, right? It's certain things that I can get that cost money, right? But I can get it for free right now. You know why? Because the person who's handling that, when they was at some other point, you understand what I mean? I looked out for them. You see what I'm saying? And so now, I can be blessed, with in this day and time right now. You know what I'm saying? Or, a lot of times you hear older people say that, right? You might your great grandmother or something, she's blessed to have all this family around her that love her or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But she's responsible for that blessing. So yeah, it can that word can bring some ideas, right? It can bring some ideas, you know what I'm saying, of religious, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like Arabi is saying right here, a lesson is a blessing to keep you from guessing. You know what I mean? So like I said, see, you was blessed to be able to come in tune with that. You know what I'm saying? Like out of all of the kids I went to junior high school, right? Yeah, that was a blessing for me to come in tune with the particular people, right? That I ended up getting the knowledge. So y'all ever build on the 8 phases of the moon? There's 8 phases of the moon? I didn't even know. I didn't know it was 8 phases of the moon. Break that down for us. I guess that we building on it now. You see? Hey, look, that's exactly how it happened, yo. That's exactly how it That's exactly how it happened. Bernadette Bernie says, "Be less." That's what bless means to you. What does that mean? Be less. Like I'm saying, how does that relate to bless? Mom Donnie, did man look? We'll get that. Let's go back to that. You said the law was against communism. Uh, I said I never heard that there was a particular conversation. Now I don't know if you're talking about uh, a lot got history in Korea, and that do have something to do with that conflict. And it was, some things in terms of the freedoms and the rights that exist here. You know what I'm saying? And our ability. Like if we was in let's say a Muslim country, right? You know what I'm saying? We was in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that, right? We wouldn't have had the freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? To manifest the truth. So I heard some things about that, but I don't. There's a tape on the tape of Allah speaking. He spoke on invaders. Yeah, I guess I got to go back to the tape. Blessed is to be happy. Welcome to the channel, Neighbor Maid. Junior high school, I went to 113. You said 28-day cycle, 7 days a week, times 4. Yeah, none of that don't equal to 8, though. I'm saying you said that we trying to get to the 8 phases of the moon part. When he spoke on the invaders, yeah, I don't recall that part. Somebody gotta brush me up on that. So I wonder if my granddad met a lot while he was in Korean War at the same time. Hey man, it's possible anything. One 13. That's on. That's way up top. That's 215th. Uh, between 215th and 216th on Barnes Avenue. About a 2 train. I'm still waiting on this brother to break it down for us. These I'm not. I know y'all probably see me. I'm not trying to be an NPC right now. I'm waiting for this brother to break down the uh the 8 phases of the moon. District 120. Spare a minute. Come on, brother. What's the deal? We trying to get to. He said we have to wait for the blue moon. Right. No, Will it is on the other side. It's uh well, you got some small streets over there like Holland, but it's Barnes, Holland, White Plains, Willett, Olinville. So you said new moon to quarter moon, full moon, and the midpoints between each quarter is 7 days. Okay, so I mean, let's. I still you haven't still really haven't broken it down for me where I really fully, you know what I'm saying. But so now, what is the significance? What is the significance of these phases? The two and the five. The two and the five is together in Brooklyn after Franklin Avenue, and it's together in the P from 149th Street in the concourse over there where the bench used to be. We should do graffiti up to 180th Street, except for at express times. There's an express 5 that runs on the it runs from 241st and it makes express stops to 149th Street and then it goes back on the green line. At least that's how I used to be. I haven't. I actually I took a few rides on the train. They didn't change everything. I don't even know how to get on no more. Like they didn't change the metro card. Well, I'm like, look, man, I gotta get back. I gotta get back on my bike, man. I can't. I ain't fucking with y'all. So the 8 phases of the moon, you saying it's like the 8 points on the flag. Gun Hill, yeah. That's uh yeah, all of that's right there. Like Olinville, Evander, all of that, yeah, Gun Hill is the well, you can get off on 219, depending. You could to go to Olinville, that is. Nah, I don't recall those crews. They might have came a little bit after my time. We're over there on 213. Yeah, I know these people, Blade and Comet. Yeah, the Bronx Zoo. You know, whenever I go by the Bronx Zoo, I always remember my uncle, my my father's my father's next brother down. Like my father had a brother that was about uh like 11 months younger than him or something. I don't even know if it was a full year between them. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, uh, I don't think it was a full year between them passing away. You know what I'm saying? I remember sitting in the car. We were sitting in the hearse to go to the cemetery, and my uncle was walking around like aimlessly, like he's just walking back and forth. And my grandmother was like, "Yeah, he lost. He's not gonna stay here without his brother." And then yeah, he passed away. But at any rate, uh, that was my uncle Billy. You know what I'm saying? And Billy used to take me to the zoo almost every day. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just regular. We go to the zoo, and right there, you know, you get off the train on the Westchester Avenue side, and you walk into the entrance right there. Whenever we used to be walking up there, he'd always he'd pull out his bottle and take a few sips, right? And then he used to say, "Don't tell nobody I took a sip," you know. And I was a little guy, man, but I already at that point, I already was like, "Yo, Billy, everybody know you drinking. What you talking about?" Don't tell. Like, Billy, you drink all day, every day. What do you mean don't tell nobody you was drinking? Like, if somebody asked me if you was drinking, that would be a dumb question. But every time I go past there, I think about Billy. Chicken 1017 said the moon is always full, we just see it from different angles. You know something, I do remember seeing the cool five, but I don't know, I ain't never know who that was. I remember seeing that though. Hey neighbor, I was thinking that too, but we didn't get there yet. You know, neighbor said the 8 points of the flag is for the expanding rays of the sun, symbolic to the spreading of the truth, not the moon. But we didn't get there yet. See, sometimes, right? Look, this the Gun Hill Roadway. You know what I'm saying? We walk them into the wall, right? You don't just throw them. You walk them into the wall. But now that you brought that up, what say you about that Nunez 70? So Bernadette Bernie said four waxing phases and four waning phases, full moon showing in the middle. Each phase has a different significance in cycles. Okay, so Bernadette, this is what we waiting on. Like we're not even look, we're not even we're today was Fly Phrase born day. Oh yeah, the 2 and 5 split on 180th Street. Yeah, for the people that's new, you know what I'm saying? Fly Phrase from Providence. See, I found out that Rhode Island, the official name of Rhode Island is Rhode Island in the Providence Plantations. And so, you know, one of the very first brothers that was doing knowledge to the channel, you know, first we had the channel, then we started the live stream, and he was one of the very first brothers, you know what I'm saying? And he passed away from sickle cell, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, he was a brother that used to participate, you know what I'm saying, a lot in the comments and all that. And he had times when, his health used to go down. So, we wouldn't see him for a minute. And then eventually, man, yeah, his family got in touch with us. You know what I mean? Because, you know, he used to let them know about how much he enjoyed the channel and everything. You know what I'm saying? So uh, they knowing about us, they reached out to us, you know what I mean? So we had a whole live stream where they was on and everything, you know what I mean? But yeah, shout out to Fly Phrase for the Providence Plantations. You know what I'm saying? So right, you Bernadette Bernie, we're here you said that each phase has a different significance in cycles. Now look, we go from knowledge to born, right? And then that forms a cipher. So see, we're into cycles here. we're we're into cycles. You know, we like to measure cycles, right? We measure them in all kinds of ways. So cool saying because see, that's what I'm saying. See, that's why I don't like 10%. Like, see, if you know some fly shit, why ain't you tell me? that's, I mean, that's the basics. Originally that was how I was really teaching. I had no idea that there was a lesson that said it was our duty to teach. I had no idea until I saw the knowledge guide degree, right? The knowledge build degree. I did not know that our duty was to teach. Like I saw people teaching, but I thought everybody was thinking like me. Like, yeah, this is dope. I gotta tell all the brothers. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. And I think that's why nobody told me. Cause I be wondering that too, like why nobody ain't tell me. But I think they probably thought, yeah, he already know. Like if he's teaching, he must know. But nah, I didn't know that. Yeah, New Year 70, that is how Sham God broke it down. But see, in it just in general, right? The 8-point cipher is the same. But I'm still waiting for somebody to can somebody let us know what is the significance of the 8 phases of the moon? Because look, I didn't want to make fun of it, but we've already had a suggestion that it has something to do with you turning into a wolf. So I don't know. I don't know if that's actual. It's a lot of cultures still in use in ancient that use the new moon as being the actual first day of the month. Of course, the Gregorian calendar doesn't start with the moon at all. Um, I mean, it is related though. You know, the in terms of, you know, the month and the cycle of the moon is related. Bernadette Burney says, I was giving my thoughts. I don't know if that's the science intended to be discussed here. See, look, we've decided, right, as a group, you know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and speak for the whole, and we've decided that we would like to know what the 8 phases of the moon is about. When we you know, we'll let you know when we need to move on. See, I'm gonna tell you something. You know, just a it's a kind of, you know, a guideline, right? Let's say that, right? Uh, you know, when you come up with this symbolism, right? You know, when you say things is symbolic, it can't just be symbolic. I'm talking about the 5%. And other things that, you know, they got what they do. But see, those had to be symbolic of something that you could live out. Like it's good for it to have, you know, that symbolism, and it could be, you know, some type of lesson that you could learn from that symbolism. You know what I'm saying? But if it don't, uh, you know, distill into something that you could apply on a physical level. You see what I'm saying? So the flag, that's man, woman, and child. You know what I'm saying? Sun, moon, and star. This is our everyday reality. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Hey, look, I gotta record that. I gotta record that and put that in my what's the name. You know, it's not like, look, it's not like it's not like, look, you human down here and you holy up there, like you half and half. It's not. I gotta look, when I say it don't sound the same as when Professor Lang said it. Wolfing? I don't think I ever saw that one. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you saying that things is symbolic to other things, but then it's layers and layers, you know what I'm saying, of symbolism that, you know, a person can't really live out, then, you know, it's that's just not the science. You know what I'm saying? Because see, first of all, when you do that, right? When you put all those layers of symbolism, right? You don't simplify things. You know, if you breaking something down, you know what I'm saying, the symbols is supposed to be, they so like the symbols is simple. You know what I'm saying? Like the brain and everything, they say work more by pictures and the symbols and stuff. You understand what I mean? So if you have a symbol, right, and the person don't know what it is, then it's a bad symbol. Like a lot of something I learned, you know, I went to we went to Jamestown, Virginia, right? when I was in I think that was elementary school. We had a school trip, right? And we went to I don't think that was in Jamestown. This was a town, I think Mary and William College was there or something, but this town was still set up in like it was 1720 or whatever, right? And that was one of the things is that there was no signs on the stores. That all of the stores had a symbol there so that you knew what it was, right? And that was when I learned that, uh, back in the days when you used to see like the barbershop pole, you know what I'm saying? Uh, but the one that stood out was the red dot on the liquor store. That I used to always see that, red dots on the liquor store. I never knew what that was for. When I went to that place, that's what they said that's what that was for. Now these people wasn't Amish. This was the regular settlers. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Williamsburg, yeah, I think that's where. Yeah, that's where we was. We went to Williamsburg, and so it still was set up like colonial times. You know what I'm saying? People was there, doing they what's the name, and they still was like they had characters there, right? That they was walking around the town with wagons and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So just saying, I went through all of that, right? To say that the symbol is supposed to be simple, even for somebody that's illiterate. You know what I'm saying? The symbols, they have to be common. See what I'm saying? That's one of the things with masonry. You know what I'm saying? Is they got these various symbolism to break things down and gain understanding. You see what I mean? Now, because they all in the same group, right? They got common symbolism, right? Where they can communicate, you see what I'm saying? Without everybody being in their business. Gold 7P. I remember seeing this name. I can't remember what exactly what happened. I don't recall what was the all right. Thanks for that super chat. So see, I can tell you right now, Gold 7P is a good brother. Go, yeah, I like Gold 7P. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. Gold Professor. So you said the seven for me is a symbol of the 7 days a week and using the sun and moon to measure time we use to build. I mean, now look, I'm gonna tell you another thing, right? You don't need that for now, right? And I'm not saying for you not to do that, right? You breaking it down, right? But what I'm saying is that that's for the old people in a time when you could get you could get lynched for knowing how to read. So you need to be talking in symbols. You need to this need to be symbolic. You see what I'm saying? When these truths is being written in codes, right? Because they don't want everybody to know the truth. You see what I'm saying? When they write in the Bible and even a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? When they writing it, they can't make the truth just obvious like that, right? So they had to write these things in coded ways, right? And so you need the symbolism to break that down, right? And understand what they meant, what they were saying back then. But we don't got to use symbolism. I'm on here saying the black man's God with my face. Fuck, we, we, we don't need to say nothing stands for nothing. If it don't need to be said on here, then don't snitch. But we tell you straight up. we tell you, we tell you straight up. The black man's God. See, look, I didn't read right here. I didn't read shit. You see me reading right here in the comments. I'm black. Motherfucker ain't do nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to use, I don't need to go through all that. So like I said, with the young brothers that come to, I just tell them, yeah, the black man's God. I don't tell them no two-ball cane shit and all that. They ain't got to study 35 to 50 years because I told you the first day the black man is God. You see Bernadette Bernie came here, right, and got the truth the first day. I don't even know what they look like. So after that, what I'm using symbols for was people know who I am. I'm not Hiram Abiff, but don't nobody really know who you is and how you get down with your power is. Now they know who I'm in. See, Allah broke all that. See, it wasn't no secret thing like he just was saying to us. There's a book written, a man called Allah, and it's about Allah. And some of the brothers and sisters, look, the man that wrote the book, his picture, y'all seen it? It's right up there at the school. See, once he came out there and was saying that, look, we had to look. It's we do know, right? He was assassinated, right? Let's not cut no what's the name. That being the case, since then we said we want to say. See, he already went in Matterhorn, right, and showed and proved that look, whether you agree with us or not, we Allah, and now you get locked up and say your name is Darkim be Allah. They ain't even take you to Bellevue. Allah wasn't the only. Everybody that got arrested and went down there and said they was God, they was selling to Bellevue. But look, the older brothers already they already rocked out for us. We good. We good. That's symbolism. We tell them play. I got my man Wells over here. What? Oh, it's hanging over here on the pull up bar. I got my man Wells, my Muslim papers. So see, this I said all that to say that that's why me particularly, I'm not really that much into the symbolism, right? Breaking down, unless I'm breaking down something from the past. You see what I'm saying? So see, like For instance, if I'm breaking down something like Jesus walks on water, right? See, now for me, right? See, the water is wisdom, right? Wisdom is words. You know what I'm saying? And walking, that's how you move on the planet Earth, right? You know, when you move on the planet Earth, the history is being predicted and lived out, right? So see, people heard about Jesus. See, through his wisdom that he was expressing, right? That caused other people to express wisdom. So see now, even to this day, you got places where, according to that story or any other history you got, Jesus never went there. So how they know about Christ and Christianity over there? Because he walked on water. But see, I don't have to say I walked on water. I can say, look, yeah, I had this class right here. You understand what I mean? And these people came on the class, and I built on the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet, and you know they took it from there. We could just say that. We don't got to. We don't see because you gotta remember that's their books they wrote. So now each one of us, right? We write our book. So now it's gonna be people down the line, right? You know, you have kids, you have grandkids, whatever, right? They like, yo, look, you know, why we don't follow the customs of all of the rest of the people. You know, I mean, if you that person, you know what I'm saying, like me, where it's like, well, that goes back to this individual right here got the knowledge of himself. And then ever since then, this is how we do. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to write it in a way where they gotta figure it out. But we out here, we down, you know, to the nitty gritty, and I still gotta, you know, the last time we went live, I had made my food already. But today, in fact, I don't even, I gotta go to the store. The supermarket, I think it's dirt. Yeah, that's dirt. So I guess I gotta go. I go get a sandwich or something. I keep it light because I ain't going. I ain't gonna be going all around the world right now. Said Jesus walked on water just as we do today, with the understanding that the self is 75% water. He spoke balance. Water in the self must be balanced, or health take place. You probably got to rewrite that because I can't understand that too good. I mean, you know, when I hear that, and sometimes that happens, right? Like when I read this right here, right? So you're saying, I think I get a little bit of just, you said Jesus walked on water just as we do today, with the understanding that the body is 75% water. He spoke balance. Water in itself must be balanced, or health risks take place. Dehydration or throwing up when the body is out of sync. Okay, now tie in the walk part. Like, I understand the water, right? You saying that the water, right, is already in you, right? So what's the walking part? See, a lot of times when you building, right, you got to remember that you got to build in complete ciphers. Meaning, you got to let us know where's the origin of this and where it's going. But in general, we're gonna start winding this one down. We're gonna start winding this one down, so I don't, that 75% water, but I gotta get the other 25%. But any other questions that we got? I don't know. Is the brother still here? I really, this is not a political channel. And a lot of stuff about Mom Donnie, right? Especially, see, because I be talking to my daughters, and they like all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I don't wanna put the bad mouth. In terms of capitalism and communism and all that, I don't really. To me, it's just a matter of uh, the same thing. Pro righteousness and anti devilish. Any whatever system you have, right? If you have righteous people dealing with equality, right, it's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can have the perfect system, but if you have unrighteous people doing devilishment, it's not gonna work. So you said water in itself is you walking on water. Without that water in you, you have no balance. The other 25% is the understanding you need to keep balance. Okay, so let's say in your brain, right? Right, your brain is also, I think it's more than 75% water, right? So how do you walk on the water that's in your brain? Because you said without that water in you, you have no balance, right? But on the one hand, when you're talking about dehydration and stuff, that's the balance, of the liquids with the other, nutrients in the body, whether it's the salts or the whatever, you know what I mean? Now, when one is walking in terms of traveling, right, they also have to have balance to not fall down. So that's one thing that I'm seeing right here is that you're talking about two different types of balance, which can be connected. That could be the symbolism, but you're not breaking that down for us. That's what I'm saying. So I can sit here and say I think I know what you're talking about, but especially when you're in a forum like this, right, where you in YouTube, so you gotta remember that it's people watching right now, it's people that's gonna watch after, right? That you have to, that's a part of it. You have a clear picture in your mind, right? You know, like I could say, you could tell a person to give you something to eat, right? Now, if they give you a ham sandwich, right, you didn't communicate well enough for them to know exactly what it should be and what it shouldn't be. And it's, see, the main thing, you know, about the main situation is that, see, he not from New York. So it's like, he's not a best knower in terms of how these situations was created, whatever government situations, positive and negative, and he's not the best knower of how New York works, and the people of New York, like when you say affordable, right, to people from New York and people that gentrified into New York, those mean two different things. Joe Richardson said, I got cut off before I completed my thought. So, what was the thought that you started? Yeah, go, Professor. I mean, just when you break things down, right? You know, we building on something, right? You gotta remember that. See, me and you, we building for whatever purpose, right? But ultimately, we have to communicate this to people who have no knowledge of what we're saying. They don't know supreme mathematics. They don't know supreme alphabet. They've never heard of Allah. You see what I'm saying? So we have to make this stuff simple. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you know, a lot of times we get caught up in that, right? Me myself, I was there. Where it's like, uh, we try to impress other people that have the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're trying to impress other people that have the knowledge, now you're using your $10 words and all of that, and you introducing all types of other stuff. So the breakdown is this. What I'm saying, like at the end of this, right? You said the water. Like how does one live that out? Like on the everyday basis, right? Like, see what I said when I said, look, people walk on water, right? Word of mouth is the best advertising, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And you hear about the Word in various places, right? You know what I'm saying? You got, uh, creation at the Word, like you speak in the Word, like in the Egypt science, like you speak things into existence. You know what I'm saying? Or uh, the Greeks got logos. You see what I'm saying? So when people is speaking, right, and they spreading the ideas, right, the person who manifests those ideas is walking on water. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, when I meet people, sometimes that happens, right? I meet people, you know what I'm saying? Somebody comes, they say peace. I say peace. My name is Darkim, and they say, I know who you are. I never met this person before. You said the Piscean age. All right, you using because I'm this the Mohammedan reality over here. So we gonna rock over here in the Piscean age. The Piscean age, during the time of Isa ibn Yusuf, there's a lot of astrological symbolism in the Bible. So uh, this is Jesus, son of Joseph, right? Why did you say that in particular? All right. Shout out again for that super chat right there. See, I should be more like Gold Pete. y'all should, y'all should, y'all should see Gold Pete is he's like Jesus Christ. See, he's an example. See, I need to use what would Gold Pete do? But you said here there's a lot of astrological symbolism in the Bible. I mean, well, see, the Bible, and this is mine. What I draw up about it is, the Bible is a collection, right, of stories that came from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So you got some, you know, Zoroastrian stuff in there. You got some uh, Egyptian stuff in there. You got some regular European pagan stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? It's various. It's various. Sciences in there. Um, necessarily. A lot of people come up with that stuff, but I don't really know what it means. Like, why would they put that in there? I mean, ultimately, it's their book, so they put it in there because they want to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying because look, in the present day and time, right? People only relate to astrology through horoscopes, right? Which is bullshit. So that's what I'm saying. Like these various things that exist, right? Uh, for me, That's always the big question. You know what I'm saying? Like, did we just, uh, satisfy some type of craving in ourselves to know everything? You know what I'm saying? Or did we, uh, come up with something that we can apply to the science of living? Meaning, like I'm saying, let's say if there was a little kid right here, right, and he was like, "Yo, you know, you you should learn the science of astrology because it's gonna help you in what endeavors in life." Yeah, look, the astrology and the crystals have they've gained some kind of, I don't know what the word for it is, but absolutely I can agree with that. That you hear a lot more about that. I guess one thing I'm gonna tell you one thing that is social media. Cause see, there could have been a lot of things that people was into, but before we had social media, we didn't know. Like there's lots of people that when Facebook came out, right? I realized that a lot of people was into a lot of stuff that I to the point where look, that's one of the reasons I got on Facebook. Because there's people that's like, see, I don't even want to know this about you. Like I want to preserve my memory that when I see you at the rally, how you are there, that's I want to preserve that. I don't want your name to come up and I think about the stuff that you put on here. The new generation love astrology. People who claim spirituality use all that, but females often use it. But ultimately, right? You said astrology was the way they told time back in the day, like Virgo holding the wheat is because that was their harvest time. We're in a different time, though. People see it differently now. Now, look, you hit something on the head there, right? You hit something on the head there, right? One of the manifestations, right, of things going from knowledge to born, right, is supposed to be some kind of as above, so below. Because mind you, I mean, look, it doesn't matter if it was thousands of years ago or if it's right now. I mean, what do we say to people that's just staring off into space? See, like how you just said right there. See, that was something that happened up there, right? That signified it's time to do something down here. That's what I mean when I say, did we learn something, right, that we can apply, right, where we got the power, or is it just something where we saying that, oh, well, yeah, I figured out that, this is what it says here, or that's what it says over there, right? And so now I got one up on everybody because I know that. But that is a perfect example of what I'm saying in terms of the last 20 or 30 minutes in terms of things got to be symbolic to something that could be lived out. You know what I'm saying? Or we just going into the basic elements, the like the icon. the icons, like the pictures and stuff, where people start worshiping pictures and objects and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? You know, those is the beginnings of the searching for trillions of years, because everything is out there. If it don't never tie back in to how we supposed to live right here, in order to be able to go through hell and come out right, then it's saying, you know, I'm for me at least. For me at least. You understand what I'm saying? It's not really, you know, like I said, you just learning, you know, about the faith or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Where like, you know, you know, because you might have some knowledge that other people don't have, so then now it's like you favored or something. You understand what I'm saying? Like you favored, so then you know that's you got something special over the heathens. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, and I'm not saying the brother Joe Richardson in particular. I'm not, you know, when I'm talking, I'll be talking. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, right? That's what'll happen. You know what I'm saying? And look, I'm saying that from experience, right? That look, uh, there was a time when, when I saw certain brothers, like I see my brother E. Kim, that's one thing we do. We let each other know all the people that we bombed since the last time we seen each other. And so you had to bomb him. And this is the thing, right? This is something, I'm not, we in high school then. You see what I mean? But that's one of the lessons, right? That, like I said, when you go around the older brothers doing that, you know what I'm saying? Now I say, yo, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you here to talk over his head? Because who do that? Who keep the wisdom above people's heads? See, what story is that a part of? So you learn those lessons. Said the ancients were just doing the knowledge, observing what they saw and writing it down, keeping a log for the future. I mean, don't get me wrong, they was keeping a log, and of course they're going to pass it on. But see, the part you left out is they was living their life. Like these was things, you know, that See, you gotta remember even that. This type of luxury, where don't get me wrong, I would like to think that my show in particular, right, is very informative, it's very useful and everything. But look, we know some of the things that's on YouTube. So people having the time to just look at uh, artificial intelligence videos of impossible stuff happening, right? Nobody had time for that. You had to be handling the business of survival. So that's what I'm saying. Don't never leave that part out, because that's where you get. So like when you see in Egypt, right, where they show you the person with a dog body and a cat head. See, that's some type of symbolism about how the person lived, right? Maybe they had a lot of loyalty like a dog, right? But they had intelligence like a cat or whatever it could have been. Right? But there was somebody that was embodying those principles that's in those symbols. You see what I'm saying? And when we stop doing that, that's when we start on the trillions of years journey. It says, my position that they were writing in their books of life. They shared what was in their writings, what they were learning. Now, when you say write it, right, do you mean with a pen and paper? Because see, one thing, okay, let me ask you this question, right? You realize there's a difference between writing history and making history, right? See, meaning you got thousands of sports writers that wrote a story on Kobe Bryant, right? How many writers, how many sports journalists wrote a story about Kobe Bryant scoring 80 points? What it was, 81 points he scored in the game. See, they all wrote that history, right? But who made that history? See, and you also know that there's a difference between writing history in advance and writing history after the fact. Boy, nobody asked you that. But yeah, though, we got any last questions, man, before we wind this one here down? Tells you I gotta go outside and go to the store. I don't like that store neither. They put some kind of funny stuff on a grilled chicken. Yeah, well, I know nobody asks you about no details. You over here talking about on the Knicks. That's why that's why they giving all that money away now. You and Shells. The organic store on 25th Street on 125th or 25th. Now, if it's on 25th, I don't even know where that's at. 125th. Uh, well, uh, which organic store? You talking about Watkins? You got Watkins and you got the juice bar down there. Um, I don't go in there very often. The one that I do go in is up on 100, like let's say 137th Street. But generally speaking, if I'm like super interested in getting, which I don't, with all that too much, but if I do, particularly want to get some organic, like fruits and vegetables, then I just go to the Trader Joe's. And so that's on 125th, right there by the state building. So I ain't got a whole bunch of distance, right? The juice bar. So yeah, I haven't been in there in a minute. You know what I'm saying? New York. I mean, look, New York is closing down. Shaka News said, "How late do places stay open if you want to eat?" I mean, it's shutting down. There was a time when there was, especially on eating, there was no limit. Uh, but the particular place I'm talking about, they don't close. Uh, it's still you still fairly decent. You know what I'm saying? The Arabs is starting to take over the nighttime, like the halal spots. Uh, yes, it's winding down. Like look, somebody I was laughing about that with somebody actually a couple of years ago. That New York used to be the city that never slept. You know what I'm saying? But now it takes some naps. It definitely it takes some naps. Like that used to be the craziest thing to me. Like when you go to other places and it's like all the clubs, bars, everything is closed by 2 o'clock. I used to bug out on that. Like, how does this even work? Like, right? Dunkin' Donuts be closing. Uh, look, I remember when the drugstores like Dwayne Reed and Walgreens and all of that used to be 24 hours. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that still got the 24-hour sign in the window and be closed. Right? The economy, yeah, it's not the same. Medina, yeah, you missed it. Look, we at first we started out, the first topic was somebody sent me the link. Shout out to the guy Shaquem. Shaquem Shaquille is kind of a troublemaker. Like anytime it's a video where something's going a little bit crazy, Shaquille send me the link, man. So anything going wrong, Shaquille is gonna make sure I get that link. Something crazy out here, man. So yeah, we went through that a little bit earlier. You know what I'm saying? You know, and like I always do, you know, I really just said it in terms of, you know, for people to be aware of themselves. You know what I'm saying? You know, be aware of if you this because it's cool. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for whatever reason, but you're not really internalizing this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Before you examine everybody else, you know what I'm saying? You gotta examine, you know, if you're who you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what I seen with them is that uh, you know, they're not acknowledging that there is a specific thing, right? A specific group of people, right, that is the 5% and that they have specific characteristics. You know what I'm saying? And that, you know, I'm not taking your birthright, but I'm just saying that look, you got stilts, right? You see an object and it has stilts. You know, stilts like people be walking, they like 10 feet tall, they got the stilts on. So I see an object and it has stilts. And then I say, that's not a car. Are you saying that I said that out of emotion, or did I say that because cars have wheels? Being that this thing has stilts, right? Look, it might have used to be a car. But right now, if it moves across the planet on stilts, it's not a car. Like if somebody says, look, you know, I got something I gotta do, right? Look, I need you to take my car, I need you to take my car from here to there, right? And then you get in the car and there's no steering wheel. And then they tell you, oh yeah, that car, it don't work. Like, oh yeah, see, that's something different. This is not, you understand what I'm saying? People are not understanding that look, there's a difference between a river and an ocean. And we know that even though, look, it's all water, right? But we know that there's a difference between a river and an ocean. And we know that because of the characteristics of those bodies of water. And it's not just a trivial thing, right? Because you have, like I said, see, when you get life and death, that's when your belief go out the window. See, you got animals, right, that can live in the river, can't live in the ocean. You got animals that can live in the ocean and can't live in the river. At the end of the day, yes, all water. Is there still many similarities here? Yes. But see, there's no reason for one to be called a river and the other to be called the ocean if they're the same thing. So, you know, I thought that part of the conversation, you know, you know, not really. I'm not really building on the distinctions of them, right? There was uh, you know, in terms of whatever distinguishes them, right? Let them decide that, right? I can say what distinguishes us. You know what I'm saying? And uh, I can say this: one distinction between us is who we accept as primary sources for this knowledge. They see, I accept people with a law at the end of their name as a primary source. They accept people with X at the end of their name as the primary source. But outside of that, look, they be who they want to be. You know what I'm saying? But it's just one of the things where, yeah, in this day and time, right, we're going to have to be aware, right, of who you allow into your cipher. You know what I'm saying? Never before, that's always been something that was said, right? Is that, peace is not a password. We don't have passwords in the nation. And so people are gonna have to be aware, right, of how many people it is out there that want to be us. Rich people, poor people, tall people, short people, all kinds of people. People with their own thing, people $1 billion. They want to wear our flag. So you gotta be aware because uh, you know, somebody, coming in that kind of light can make you easily led in the wrong direction, right? You easily led because you're being led by somebody you identify with. Oh yeah, he be violating. You talking about Fahim? And look, and that was one thing I did. Like, yo, if you listen, because he watches, right? Fahim, if you watch all the way to this end, this is one question I got. Why you let that man sit up there and lie and say you see me as a brother? That was the one that, listen, if it was one thing where he said, yo, the brother who was talking, the Muslim guy brother, he was like, yo, we see y'all as brothers, we don't like when y'all speak about us, y'all be speaking about us like we outsiders. Cause you outsiders. Like, bro, only outsiders call Allah Clarence. But so he says that, and then he says, we don't know why y'all like that. We don't know why y'all like that. You know what I'm saying? Because we see y'all as brothers. Now, Fahim, why you didn't stop that man right there? Why you didn't stop that man right there? Why let that man lie on your channel like that? Because you know good and well you don't see me as your brother. Listen, Fahim, man, have some integrity on your channel. Don't let that man come up there and mislead these people. Mislead these people. Right? See that's what that I'm big on that, man. That what if somebody asked me that? I ain't gonna lie for you. I done told y'all. Not covering for people. Yeah, they said the law have flaws, but Fard and Elijah are infallible. We're really not the same. I get how they feel, but this ain't a feeling thing. Look, that was when the guy Rob Mel bombed. Listen, that was when Rob Mel bombed atomically, son. That was when he bombed atomically. Is when he said, "Listen, man, we not the same, right? We not the same because see, look, in our nation, Allah is Allah. In the NOI, Fard is Allah." He said, "Over there, Allah is Clarence. Over here, Fard is W.F. Muhammad." Say, listen, it don't get more distinct than that. It do not get more distinct than that. Listen. It was over when he said that. Say, true born was the signs. I gotta somehow I gotta get in touch with you. Shout out to that super chat as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As soon as they say, yeah, Brother Clarence and all that, as soon as they say that, see, these is the signs, these is the traits, right? These is the traits and characteristics. They see, even when you're talking to somebody, right? And this has happened to me quite a few times, right? When I be speaking to these people, and they never catch themselves, right? When you start referring to the 5% as y'all. Yeah, well, y'all teach this. Yeah, well, y'all be saying that. Who's y'all? Last time I heard y'all with some other people and not you. See, you're not saying us. You're not saying we. You're not saying some of the brothers. And see, this is what a lot of people do, especially those that don't like us, right? Is they try to measure the nation by all of the brothers that did negativity. Like when you want to talk about the 5%, like see, remember he did that. He did that in the Western End. He said, yeah, you know, a lot of the 5%ers be in jail. But see, you didn't talk about the 5%ers that's doctors and lawyers. You talk about 5%ers getting locked up, but you didn't talk about the 5%ers that work in the district attorney's office. See, he talked about the 5%ers that was doing things that a lot didn't tell them to do on there, right? But you didn't talk about the brothers that went to college. You didn't talk about the brothers that became school teachers. You didn't talk about brothers that became engineers, all types of things, man. In all walks of life. And you didn't talk about where they came from and all the things they had to overcome in order to accomplish that. So see, when you talk like that, right, how am I supposed to think you one of us? Then you're going to turn around and say you see us as brothers? See, that's some Steve Urkel, did I do that shit? That's some fully unaware shit that you don't understand, that you sitting here, right? You sitting here saying Allah was just a baby and he didn't really know who he was talking about, and y'all have to show us proof that he didn't mean for us to go back in the mosque, and then you like what? You don't yo bro, you don't get it. You don't see how we listen, remember the last live stream? Who's the real troublemaker here? But it's cool. They'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? You know. So, all right, yeah, no doubt, you born. Hit me up. Hit me up tomorrow because it's about to be. I'm about to be in the trouble for the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? But tomorrow we're gonna be back on. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we're gonna, unless look, it's up to Shaki. If Shaki send me some more crazy stuff, then we might have to go back. You know what I'm saying? But if not, I have one lined up for tomorrow. Right, that's what I'm saying. Hey, look, God, Jigga 1017. I don't know if you saw it, but the one brother he said that he first got influenced by number 25. Like, we got a whole lot to talk about here. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are you trying to deflect here or something? You first got introduced to Islam through Temple 25. Okay. Enough said. At any rate, everybody that made it this far, do the each one teach one. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back on tomorrow. I'm going to sign off and say peace.